asked me if I had felt it before, we couldn't find it, which was really interesting. So I did not think anything about it. She's like, you know what, you're going for your mammogram. Don't miss your appointment. I'm sure it's nothing. There's no family history on my side, no cancer actually at all. So I was not concerned. And I went for my mammogram, which I faithfully do every year. And that's when they found it. And that's kind of how the journey started. It started with getting a biopsy and then finding out, my journey. That was started about 2 years ago. So this March, I will be 3 years from my diagnosis.
Okay, and so are you still in treatment right now?
No. So I had treatment for about 6 months to a year on and off. I had chemotherapy first, and I did that for 4 months. And then I went straight into radiation, and I had radiation for 2 full months.
Okay, and so now is it considered remission?
Yeah, so I am in complete remission. I'm doing well. I am healthier, honestly, than I've ever been, thanks to the HEAL program. Definitely, honestly, when people say that, you're like, oh, you're healthier than you were. But I seriously am living my best life now.
Yeah.
It is one of the silver linings in something that is, obviously life-changing. And it's been a journey, but it's been a positive one. Really has been.
Wow, that's great to hear. I love that. Let's hear from Vanessa too, just kind of the same idea, like your where your journey started and where you are now.
So I guess my journey started in 2014 when I first felt like a little something in my left breast, and I went to get like a sonogram. I'm from Dominican Republic, so that's when I was living back there, and they said it was like a cyst, and that just continue monitoring the cyst, nothing to be concerned about. And fast forward to 2019, and I started doing birth control again, and it just started growing and growing, and I'm like, what's going on? So I try to get, it was so crazy trying to get someone to take me seriously, because I was 29, no history, and it was a complete mess trying to get my insurance to cover it. And if I had to afford it, it was like $1,000 that I had to pay just to get like a sonogram or something, someone telling me what's going on. But because it got so big, my primary was like, hey, okay, I am going to refer you for something and they need to do it. So I got a sonogram, and then I got referral to like a breast specialist, Dr. Camp, and she was amazing. And they did a biopsy, and then December 2019, they told me it was breast cancer. And
You never did a mammogram on you?
No.
Wow.
I know, because it was from what I've heard, it's in a weird place for a lump, because it was like right in the bottom and it was visible. So they just did a biopsy because they thought it was like a cyst or something else. I don't remember the name. So they did the biopsy just to make sure to make sure they don't go and operate it and take it out without making sure it's not cancer. And it turned out to be cancer. So I went straight to chemo. I did take my ovaries first, just because of the chances chemo has of infertility. And because I had to be on menopause for 10 years. So I have to be on menopause for 10 years. And I went to chemo, got my double mastectomy 6 months later, while COVID happening, right? So it wasn't easy. And then I did 2 months of radiation. And when they did that surgery, they got everything out. So radiation was, keep safe. And so I've been in remission since last year in November after radiation.
Wow. And so I think it's so important to tell that piece of the story about the struggle, right? That
it is a struggle. If you're under 30 or under 40, you don't have any history, it is a struggle to get someone, unless you have a lot of money. But as we know, not everybody has a lot of money, especially not to just give right away to get something done. It is a struggle to get your insurance to cover any kind of preventive, study that you want done yourself. And I knew something was wrong, and it was just hard to get someone to hear me out.
Yeah. And did any, at the end of it, did anybody tell you, if you had gotten an earlier diagnosis, it may have.
Obviously, I was stage 3, and it started growing really fast because of the hormones in the birth control. Even though I asked for a lower dose, because before, when I used to do birth control, which was when I started feeling the little thing, I didn't like the effects on me. And a lot of women experience that. They experience fatigue, they experience mood changes, they don't feel good with their bodies, and that's not normal. And for me, it manifested in cancer. So definitely, if I had a earlier diagnosis, I would have had a lower stage, and it wouldn't have spread to my lymph nodes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's just obvious.
Yeah.
So that's got to be frustrating. And how did you two meet through this program?
Yes.
did.
And like Terry said, I before cancer, I used to go to the gym and eat somewhat healthy and all that, not too crazy. But after the program, I'm like, why do I feel so good? Shouldn't I be feeling like more like, oh God, I've been through chemo. Oh God, I did radiation. Oh God, like I feel completely like so healthy. It's crazy. A lot of energy, minimal side effects from the treatment that I'm in. And not just that I feel that way, but if for some reason I go through something, I know how to get myself back into that rhythm. I know how to get myself back to my healthy lifestyle. So it's so important, the tools that Dr. Orman has given us for our lives, because you're not always going to be happy and like, oh yes, let's go for the gym, or let's go and let's meal prep and let's do, you're not always going to be on that state of mind. But the tools that she gives you allows you to go back to that and to understand, okay, I'm in a rut right now. I know what I have to do step by step, and little things that you can do every day to get you back to being healthy, or you're not being healthy, but get you back to doing the things that will make you feel good.
Mm-hmm. And she was explaining to me that one of the most important aspects of HEAL is learning about inflammation and how it affects your body. And I thought that was fascinating, because I've heard a lot about inflammation from people who are trying these fad diets. And usually the fad diets, I'm like, that can't be real. It's just what they're talking about today, but tomorrow it's going to be something different.
Right.
So, and then she talked a lot about plant-based diets. And so did either one of you end up going completely plant-based?
Yep.
You did?
Yep.
Yes.
You both did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So talk about that experience, Terry. Like that, I mean, that is a life-changing thing to say, okay, I don't know if you just did it one day or if it was a long process.
No. So one of the things for me that HEAL really helped me with was when I got diagnosed, I did a lot of research and felt like I had the best team. I had the best surgeon. I also had Dr. Kemp, who I loved, had the best oncologist. I didn't have a radiation oncologist yet. And it's kind of interesting. I was actually in chemo and still searching for that missing piece on my team. And I felt like I didn't know what I could do to help my team. Like I was like, okay, I'm a member of this team, but what can I do as the patient to make sure I'm doing absolutely everything I can to be successful in this journey? And I didn't know where to start. And you, interestingly enough, mentioned you hear about inflammation, it's like a fad. You hear about plant-based eating and being healthy. And if you go on the internet, it's so overwhelming. It's so confusing. You don't know what source to trust. I didn't know, should I cut out sugar? Should I stop dyeing my hair? Should I, sleep more? I mean, the basics, but you can get very caught up in everything that's out there and not knowing how to disseminate all that information. So I was sitting in chemo and a lady was in there and we were talking and she said, you have to see Dr. Orman because she has a program that will help you feel like you're in control, that will help you feel like you're a part of this. And I met with Dr. Orman, and one of the first things Dr. Orman said to me is, cancer is on your mind every second of every day right now, but our goal is that 2 years from now, when it's not on your mind every second, that you're still following the plan, that you're still being healthy. And so I knew right away that that was very true. I mean, it's human nature for us to get, gung-ho in January. We're going to work out and lose those 20 pounds. And then January 31st, no one's at the gym anymore. And unlike Vanessa, I never worked out. I could have been a vegetarian, but my husband used to tease me and said I was a Dorita-tarian. So I never had to eat meat really, but I love junk food. So going plant-based for me was not difficult in the sense that I was going through treatment, and honestly, fear is a big motivator. And so I had a lot of fear at that time and wanted to do everything I could. And so I had determination like nothing else. But the program helps keep you on track, just like Vanessa said, because it's not always going to be like that. You're not always going to be super motivated and you're going to have bad times. And life is life, it's a roller coaster. And truly living through this plant-based diet, I now have a Peloton. I exercise 5 days a week. I can't imagine my life without exercise. I mean, it truly changes your life. And it's something that meeting once a month helps keep us all on track and helps us support one another, get new information. And I don't feel like I have to Google anything. I can just ask Dr. Orman or refer to the group and the girls, and I have my answers. And it's been absolutely life-changing.
It's about having that trusted source, like you
Yes.
said. Not knowing who to trust on the internet makes it totally overwhelming, and you almost shut down because
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. So to have Dr. Orman, to have a group of people that are all so motivated to trying to make this work, I can't think of a better situation.
I know.
For
It's really,
survivors.
it's very true. That source that you can trust. And she was that missing link to my team. And then I felt like I was doing absolutely everything I could in my power too.
Yeah.
And so, it was great.
And you were part of the team. Like
Exactly.
your piece in the puzzle mattered. It wasn't just that you
Absolutely. Because
being
you do
dressed up or
feel, you feel very lost and out of control when you get that diagnosis. So to feel like you're in charge and you're in control is very empowering.
What about you, Vanessa, when you were trying to make that switch to plant-based? How did you, what are some of the things that were challenges, and what were some of the things that were maybe not that hard for you?
So I try to go plant-based 2017 because I watched a documentary and I got scared. It's called What the Health. It's on Netflix. Everybody that watches it wants to go plant-based right away. But again, I just did it for like a month. And then before I met Dr. Orman, before my surgery, I started thinking, what if I do vegetarian, and like, what's the best diet? Just like Terry, like that, I think that's every cancer patient thinking like, what's the best next step for me? And then I met Dr. Orman, and she started talking about plant-based, talking about the HEAL program. And then I just had all this wealth of information, and I decided to do it like cold turkey. It wasn't a transition, it was cold turkey. And the struggle for me going in was, going out, like my social life and going out to restaurants, going out to like just a bar because I don't drink that. I barely drink anymore. If I drink, it's like on a special occasion. If if it's a birthday or I'm on vacation, I have like a one glass of wine, but I try like not to at all because it's very bad for you. But having that social aspect on your life and still being plant-based was a struggle for me at first, and I was very, very fearful of like what's that going to do to my life, right? And it it it's been crazy how easy it is. Every restaurant has an option. Every restaurant you can ask, hey, can you just not add cheese to it, or can you just not add the chicken or the dressing? Can you just give it to me like that? Or you can order sides. And that was like my only struggle. And it wasn't even a struggle. It was all in my head, like what's that's going to be like. But the transition to cooking plant-based, it was so digestible, what Dr. Orman told us, that I don't think I had any issues with it. It was, this is how you do it. And it was so easy, step by step. It was a mindset switch of thinking, what's your main course and what's your company, what you're accompanied with, to thinking, I need protein, I need greens, I need veggies, and I need fruits and greens. Like that's basically it. And that's how I see my plate. And that's how I see nutrition. So having that breakdown of how to do it was tremendously helpful for me into transitioning like that. I did spend a little bit more money that I usually spend on groceries, trying to figure out what proteins I like. Like I can't do tofu to this day. Like it's so crazy. I can't do it right. But I can do like tempeh or beans or chickpeas. And I think, I mean, part of, you're going to struggle a little bit understanding what plates you like, what food combinations you like, and what can you do. But I thought it was so much fun just discovering that. And the way Dr. Orman laid out the information for us in presentation form, and she did the right amount of medical terms for us to understand it, but not so much that it was like, okay, I don't get what you're talking about right now. It was just like a perfect balance. And I've enjoyed, and I don't see it as a diet. I see it as like, that's how I eat.
Yeah.
And I live with my boyfriend, and he doesn't do plant-based. I mean, I cook chicken still, I make him eggs. He buys milk. And so I don't necessarily disapprove of any other lifestyles, but this is what's working for me, and this is what keeps me in health, like with energy, motivated. I feel good, my gut is happy, and if my gut is happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, she talked about that too. Yeah, I've heard that before, like with just dieting, that gut health is so important. Okay, so the last question that I have for you both is kind of like a female empowerment kind of question. You both are incredibly motivated women. I can just sense it in the way that you're speaking to me. And in different phases of life, I think we feel more motivation, and other times we feel like our level of energy is way, way, way down here. So, and when I think about people who are getting these breast cancer diagnoses, they're at all different levels of life. They're in different stages. And so, especially for women who are caring for others, whether it be a partner or children or, their own parents, how do we talk to other women about putting yourself first? Because all of these things that Dr. Orman is suggesting take time. It takes energy and time and dedication to yourself, and not necessarily to all the other people in your life. You have to really go to these meetings. Just going to that meeting every month is taking time out just for you. So I don't know, how do you talk to other women about making that time? Because I know how it can be a struggle? I'll start with you again, Terry.
That's a great question. I think that not only different stages of life, but even in my life, I have the same motivation days. I have up days and down days. You know, I have a 21-year-old special needs son who is going to live with us for the rest of his life. I'm lucky enough to have a very strong family and marriage and huge support of friends. And when I went through my diagnosis, it was everything to me. But no one really knows what you're going through except the women in HEAL. There's a very big difference. And I remember when I first sat with Dr. Orman, she said, and my oncologist said, so it wasn't just Dr. Orman who said, you're going to have to exercise, like studies have proven you're going to have to exercise 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week, 5 days a week. And I was like, I'll eat anything you want, but don't tell me to exercise. That's too much. Where am I going to find the time? And I remember Dr. Orman said, if you can't find 30 minutes a day, I'm going to have you come back in the office and we're going to go over your calendar. I was like, I'll figure it out. And so, I mean, long story short, it is a habit that you have to form. You have to start a habit. And at the end of the day, no one knows better. I mean, my mom lives with us too, and she's 77. She's actually a wonderful help to our family. But you have to, I grew up thinking if I took time for myself, it was selfish if I did that. But now I know that I cannot be the best version of me unless I do it. I'm very cranky if I haven't eaten right or if I haven't worked out. And it's funny, my husband's a runner, and our whole marriage, we've been married almost 30 years. I've known if he hasn't run, I'm like, please go for a run. Like, you're just too cranky, go for a run. But now that's how I am too. So you have to realize that if you don't do it, you're not helping anyone. You're only hurting yourself. So it took me a while to get to that place, but I feel so much better when I have worked at really focused on my nutrition and dieted. It makes a big difference, and it shows with the people that I care for.
Yeah, perfect. What about you, Vanessa?
Well, this is a really good question, because whenever I am thinking about the program and the changes that I make, I think about the single mom and with 3 kids and 2 jobs, and not really having time to buy the healthiest and organic food or meal prepping, and just resorting to like frozen fruits in, Walmart. And because what else can she do? Like, resources are limited. There's no one to guide her. There is no one to tell her, can you take 30 minutes and walk around the neighborhood? And it's so sad to me. How do you get through that? How do you talk to that person and tell them, why don't you take more time to chop and cook this kind of meals instead of spend probably $10 more or $5 more than what you spend on groceries right now? How do you get through that without resistance and denial? And I don't have the answer yet, but I think bringing awareness to what cancer really is, to how it affects your life forever, how you're not going to be able to be there for your sons and your daughters and your family if you get a diagnosis, and how can you prevent a diagnosis just by having a different lifestyle and just by doing minor changes every day that amount to a greater health. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that can be done. All I see is medication for remission. All I see is, take this. You can live longer if you take this. No one talks about what can you do in your own home to prevent you from needing that medication. Yeah. And I think that's important. We're talking about us, we're survivors, but we're not showing what we went through. We're not showing chemo, what it does to your body, to your skin, to your mental health. And we're not talking about the minor changes you can do on your day-to-day that will lead you to not go through this. All you see is like the bald head and all that, but that's not even it. Like anybody can have, bald head. It takes so much on your body. I'm 30, I don't have any breasts. Like any changes that you can make in your life to not get to where I am, I mean, I think that needs to be talked about more. And I think that's the importance of the HEAL program. It's not just on us, it's on every single day patients of Advent Health or any hospital to be in this program and to learn what they can do to heal at home, and not necessarily heal, but avoid and prevent any chronic diseases. And I think it just needs to be a conversation that's happening in the medical field, not just talking about pills and treatments and chemo.
Yeah.
And I know it's very controversial and all, but I think that's the answer to avoiding you interviewing people like me and Terry.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think asking for help, which is really hard.
Yeah.
For motivated, strong, working.
That's not even undermined. That's honestly systematic. Someone that needs 2 jobs, or someone that's on welfare, or that needs government help, or that's healthy because what they see on TV and what our culture is to drink and to eat chicken wings, and that's the culture. So they don't even think that that's harmful in any way. So it's a deeper conversation than just motivation. It's awareness on what you're doing today can affect you 20 years from now, 10 years from now, tomorrow. I think it's awareness on the food system and the lifestyle system that we have in this country.
So do you think everyone should be allowed to participate in a HEAL program?
I think that's Dr. Orman's, I think, I think it should be a program that's available for everyone, and through your medical provider. I think it should be something that's more worldwide, not worldwide, but something more readily available for everyone, because if you do the things we're doing right now, probably we wouldn't have had a diagnosis. Or something way less, something that we discovered earlier, or less invasive. I think that's an important point.
I agree. And I think that, Vanessa hit the nail on the head. It's interesting that, once you go through treatment, you don't see your surgeon anymore. You don't see the oncologist anymore. You see them once every 6 months. And then it's over, and take your pills for the next 5 or 10 years and everything will be okay. But that's not it. I mean, this is an ongoing journey. And like Vanessa said, it's for the rest of our lives. I mean, no matter how long we have left on this earth, it's going to be part of us. So not being a part of the team, like we were talking about earlier, is detrimental, I feel like. And you need that reassurance all the time. It's an ongoing support system, so to speak. We're like a sisterhood.
Yeah.
And we
have
help
that
each
Facebook
other.
group.
Yeah, because it's hard. It is hard. It's not always easy to come up with a new recipe, or, my husband is not plant-based or vegan, and neither is my 21-year-old or my mom. So, it is hard, and you want to be able to live your best life. And so you need that support. And it's sad to me that it is not automatically available to anyone who gets a diagnosis. It really is, because it changed the trajectory of how I handled my diagnosis and how I'm handling moving on. It really did.
Yeah,
it really does. And even people who are not, like I have friends, female friends, and I'm like, they just talk about, I want to be a little healthier. Like, how can I do this? And I tell them some of the things that I've learned. And I have this friend, she lives in California. She cut out cheese and meat completely from her life. She has meat every once in a while, like chicken, but she cut out dairy. And she tells me that she feels the healthiest she has ever felt in her entire life. And I'm like, well, you look great. And she's like, I feel great. And just by telling her that, she said, this is life changing, just by doing that one little thing, that one little change. And she's slowly trying to get her kids to eat more fruit, to eat more vegetables. And it's just, information is out there. And it's like you said, who do you trust on the internet? There's so many sources and so many people. And if you have Instagram, it's even worse. So having Dr. Orman giving the information to us in a very digestible and in a trustworthy manner, it just makes us more, gives us power. It empowers us to take control of our health.
Yeah, and to help your friends. She even said that, actually. She said it's like a brush fire. Like,
Yeah,
It is.
you know, it's been catching, and other people are hearing about, you know, the lifestyle changes, and so it makes a bigger impact than just the cancer survivors. So I think that's
exactly.
it's a fantastic program. I'm so glad we're going to be able to share it with our viewers. And I appreciate you both talking to me. I'm going to try to put a larger portion of our interview on our website, which is clickorlando.com. Because we're channel 6. That's what that thing is there for.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, hopefully included in the article, I'll have a little bit longer portion of our interview, because I just think it was a good conversation, and I hope other people will agree. So